Shalom, brothers and sisters. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from Yahuwah the Father and Yahusha the Messiah, his Son. This is Brother David coming to you again to tell you how to spot this new moon. One of the brothers on the channel asked a $1,000,000 question. How do you spot this moon if it's obstructed by clouds or if it's a rainy day? When I heard this question, I was excited. It shows that the brother is seeking. He wants to know. These are some of the same questions that I asked myself. I had to seek it out. Do you know I could not find any information about this whatsoever? So you can't look to commentaries on this. The only person that you may find that will expound on this at this moment, or that I've seen so far, is myself. That's why I created an algorithm, so that it can lead the children of Israel back to Yahuwah's time. The first thing that you have to know when you're looking for this new moon, look at the graphic that I have here before you, is where the sun sets. Wherever you're at in the world, mark the position of the setting of the sun. Once you know that, when it's the time of the renewed moon, you will see it in the same position that you see the sun sets. Isn't that amazing? That it only shows up in the evening at sunset, right when it's dawning towards the Sabbath. Now, there's another question out there also. Since I'm here, I might as well answer that. Well, it's not really a question, it's really like a comment. New Moon's Day is not a Sabbath. It cannot be a Sabbath because it comes in at this time. How do you have a chance to prepare, right? If you just spotted it in the evening, you cannot prepare for that day. Being that it's not a Sabbath, there is no prohibition about work. You can cook, you can bake, you can boil, you can do all of those things. Now, it is said that no commerce can be done. But as I've searched the scriptures to find any law that states that no commerce can be done, I did not find that. So it's obvious that it's the Israelites who added that to their tradition and to their customs. They knew that this was a sacred day, a day of worship before Yahuwah. So they said, oh, well, we're not going to have any work on that day either. You can read the book of Nehemiah, how Nehemiah barred the gates to make sure that they didn't come in so that they can practice their commerce. So the day of the renewed moon is not a Sabbath, but it's a worship day. It's a day of feasting and rejoicing. Do you see everyone out here on the picture? They're out here to enjoy that moon. People all over the world are gravitating towards this now because we're being more educated. We know that something is off. Those who have awakened understand that we have been living in the matrix. Everything around us is a lie. So that's why it's important for you to get back on Yahuwah's time. Investigate everything and believe no one. You have to prove it to yourself. Now, when it comes to this, you have to actually get outside and do the work. No one can really tell you about this. You have to see it for yourself. I've spent months out there doing that just to prove it. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me, right? I think that's how George Bush said it. But anyway, let's begin. Encyclopedia Judaica, Volume 12, page 1039. You should also know that the word for observe is the Hebrew word shamar. Shamar means look narrowly for or search. There's your reference. The Holiday Concise Hebrew and Aramaic lexicon defines it as watching in the sense of looking. You have to actually observe something. Vine's complete expository dictionary of Old and New Testament words includes the definitions: mark, watchman, wait, watch, look narrowly. The command is to look for, wait for, watch, and mark the new moon. What I'm trying to teach you, brothers and sisters, is how to be independent. Do not be dependent upon men. No one is supposed to cite this for you anymore. We're not in the kingdom. We're in the land of our captivity. You have to actually do the legwork yourself. This is the land where you have to prove all things. Now, if you've come to this and haven't done your research and you want to keep the new moon Sabbaths and the new moon feast days, you have to first check it out, right? When I came from the church, we had our Sabbaths on Sunday. I proved to the church that that was a lie. They didn't like me. They thought of me as some type of a heretic. Then I came to this Hebrew Israelite culture, and we were doing it on Saturday. Now I've proved that was a lie. They must think that I'm some kind of crazy person also. But one thing that I have in all of my craziness is the scriptures to back me up. And I have history. They have none. They're making things up as they go. So one thing that I've learned through all of the stumbling blocks that I had to go through just to get to this point is that you have to prove it to yourself. You have to be that watchman. You have to get out there and mark that day. But here's the problem. We don't want to wait for it. This is a waiting thing. You have to wait and sit there and watch for it. When that day comes, and I start usually 2 days ahead of time, just to make sure, you can pretty much calculate when it's going to come in. I'm pretty close to that already. I'm getting very good at it. But I'm still, even with my calculations, I have to prove what I'm calculating in my head by a sighting. And then I have to confirm what I have calculated in my head, what I've seen in the sky, with other witnesses. Check this out. renewedmoon.com. This is how you confirm your sightings. Do you see what it says here in white? The latest update? Let me read that to you. The latest update as of Thursday, January 1st, 2019. The first report for the 11th new moon of the year came from the region of Phnom Penh, Cambodia, on Monday evening, January 7th, followed by Jordan, Israel, and points westward for Israel-based observers. The 11th new moon was also sighted in Jordan, Israel on Monday evening, January 7th, by Glory Yah, and confirmed in various locations by Devorah's date tree. All right, so this is the same time that I sighted the new moon. I mean, it's really extraordinary when you sight it and then you come on this site and you see to your left here it says confirmed, and you see other people who sighted it almost at the same time that you did. Phnom Penh, Cambodia, Glenn Michael Colley, 6:21 p.m. Jordan, Israel, Gloria, 5:19 p.m. Cairo, Egypt, via secondary website, Hisham M. Hamed, 5:37 p.m. So if you notice, everyone is within an hour difference. Now, I sighted it here in America at 6:08 p.m. in the western sky as the sun dipped below the horizon. Look at the map in the upper right-hand corner. It's going to show you the countries in the world. I ran into an issue, a question that I have in my head. I just want to put this out here so you can see what I'm struggling with. Do you see a big white dot on the map? You see the sun in the middle? See that yellow sun? And then look towards your right, you'll see a big white dot. That is Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Now remember, they sighted it at 6:21 p.m. Here, I sighted it in the United States of America at 6:08 p.m. So we're at, 12 minutes difference in our sightings. The question that I have is, how can that be? If the world is a sphere, right? And I checked to see how many hours difference is Cambodia from America is 12 hours. How did we observe the moon dip below the horizon at approximately the same time? How does that work? Let me ask the question again. If the Earth is a sphere, and there's a thing called line of sight, because if it's a sphere and the moon is showing on one part, it's not showing around the whole Earth, correct? How is it that they saw the moon dip below the horizon at the same time I did, almost, when there's supposed to be a thing called line of sight? 12 hours difference. Remember, the Europeans' day doesn't start to 12 midnight. Think about that one. But what I want to show you is this. You have to confirm your sighting. And here we have 3 witnesses that have confirmed the same sighting that I had. If the moon is obstructed by clouds or it's a rainy day, then I have another site to go to. It's called moongiant.com. Look in the middle of the screen, you'll see January 7th, waxing crescent, illumination 2%. That's what I saw in the western sky when the sun dipped below the horizon in the evening of the 7th. And if you go next, you'll see January 8th, waxing crescent. That means it's growing. As you see, it's 5% now. That is your new moon's day. Because remember, the evening and the morning are the first day. And then you start your count towards your Sabbaths. 6 working days. After the 8th, you count your 6 working days. And then the next day is your Sabbath. So if it came out on the 8th, your next Sabbath would be the 15th, the 22nd, the 29th, and then it'll move into the next month and you'll have another Sabbath after you count your 6 working days. Now, this sight has been accurate to the second. Every visual is perfect except for one. If you see January 6th, it says new moon 0%. They're calling the dark moon with 0% illumination the new moon. Where did they get that from? It shows you that the influence of the Jews is widespread. They've taken this from the Jews. But because we have the scriptures on our side, the book of Enoch says that it becomes visible on that first day. So you have to actually see something. What you're going to see is the 2% illumination. Now it tells you about today's moon phase. See on the right there? When you get here, you can go with today's moon phase calendar, full moon calendar. That's where I want to go. Now, if they're telling you that the full moon, or when it's going to come in, they're going to be 1 day off. Why is that? Because they're starting their count from the new moon, which they say is the dark moon. That's where their error comes in. Because that new moon that they have there, that's really dark, is not the beginning of your month. So they're going to lead you 1 day behind. So you have to be careful. Chew the meat, spit out the fat. As we scroll down the page, we come to this. This site is very informative, brothers and sisters. Do you see it says Monday, January 7th, 2019? And there's a paragraph there. Let me read that for you. On this day, we're talking about the day of the new moon. The moon was in a waxing crescent phase. A waxing crescent is the first phase after the new moon and is a great time to see the features of the moon's surface. Note, did you see the discrepancy? When they said that this phase is after the new moon, they're talking about this phase is after the dark moon. They're trying to say that the dark moon is the new moon or the renewed moon. In order for it to be renewed, light must first shine upon it. You have to chew the meat and spit out the fat. During this phase, the moon can be seen in the western sky after the sun dips below the horizon at sunset. The moon is too close to the sun in the sky and mostly dark except for the right edge of the moon, which becomes brighter as the days get closer to the next phase, which is a first quarter with a 50% illumination. So what this is telling you is that you will not be able to see it until the sun dips below the horizon. Why is that? It's traveling with the sun on that day. It's very close to the sun. The sun has a full 7 parts of light, so it's very bright. It overpowers the moon, so you won't be able to see it. But once the sun dips below the horizon and you're dawning towards the next day, a sanya shows up in the sky. When the sun goes down, now the moon takes over. This event is not going to last long. This is why you have to be out there watching and waiting. Now let's go down a little bit further in the page. Then you come to this, the average moonrise, the average mid-phase, and the average moonset. You can actually track the moon as it travels through the sky with this tool. This is how I'm out there watching, making sure, comparing this sight to what I'm seeing in the sky. So far, it's been accurate. It is the only reason why I'm recommending it to you. I did not get this recommended to me from someone else. I went out and I proved this sight, and I found where the errors are also. You must do the same. Enoch, chapter 73. Now let's listen to our brother who was taken up into the sky to witness these events. Verse 1. And after this law, note, this is laws, brothers and sisters, laws of the heavens that cannot be changed. I saw another law dealing with the smaller luminary, which is named the moon, and her real name is Asanya, and her circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, and her chariot in which she rides is driven by the wind. And light is given to her in definite measure, and her rising and setting change every month. And her days are like the days of the sun. They work together. The sun transfers its light to the moon in parts. And that's how you get your days, your months, your seasons, your years. And when her light is uniform, note what they put there, i.e. full. No, that's not what it means, uniform. The word uniform means fixed, equal, matching, the same. It amounts to the seventh part of the light of the sun. So the sun has transferred a seventh part of its light to the moon. They have become uniform. And thus she rises. And her first phase in the east comes forth on the 30th morning. She's going to rise with the sun in the east. You will not be able to see her yet. And on that day, she becomes visible and constitutes for you the first phase of the moon on the 30th day, together with the sun in the portal where the sun rises. Note, she has to become visible. But you have to know what time you can see her, right? If she's traveling with the sun, she only has a seventh part of light that's been transferred from the sun to the moon. The sun is overpowering her. You will not see her in the sky until the sun dips below the horizon. And the one half of her goes forth by a seventh part, and her whole circumference is empty without light, with the exception of 1/7 part of it, and the 14th part of her light. Listen, it's telling you what you're going to look for. Only a seventh part of light has been transferred from the sun to the moon. It tells you that the rest of the body is empty, so that is a slither. Remember, she becomes visible. And when she receives 1/7 part of the half of her light amounts to 1/7 part and a half thereof. So now she's received her light from the sun, and she sets with the sun. Enoch is telling you how she travels, where you can see her. You're going to see her when the sun dips below the horizon. That's when you will observe her. And when the sun rises, we're talking about the next day now, the moon rises with him and receives the half of one part of light. And in that night, in the beginning of her morning, so you see the night is the beginning of the day here, the evening and the morning were the first day. So your night is really the morning time. That's the beginning of your day. The moon sets with the sun. And is invisible that night with the 14 parts and the half of one of them. So you won't see her in the night because she's still traveling with the sun. We're on the second day now, so 2 days have transpired. And she rises on that day with exactly a seventh part, and comes forth and recedes from the rising of the sun. And in her remaining days she becomes bright in the remaining 13 parts. So she becomes full in the remaining 13 parts. So you had 2 days. How many days altogether? 2 days plus 13 parts. Every part equals a day. You're talking 15 days till the moon becomes full. Accurate description. Sometimes you may have to read this over and over and over again. But just pray and ask the Father to give you reading comprehension so that you can understand this witness. He saved this witness for this last day. There's another witness in Sirach also that tells you that the moon is the sign of feast days, festal days. Remember in Jubilees it told us that we were going to forget all of this. We are now beginning to rediscover. Our Master is coming soon. So brothers and sisters, if you're going to do this, this cannot be like what we've done before. Sunday Sabbath, Saturday Sabbath, where we followed with no investigation. Here you actually have to do the work. And it's not grievous. It's not like it's going to take a long time and you got to spend the whole day out there or something. No, we're talking about an hour or an hour and a half at a time when you're sighting, looking for it. Because, all you have to do is wait till it turns all the way night. If you don't see it, that means it never showed up that day. But you have all of the tools that I've given you so that you can learn how to do this thing. You have to perfect it. And I am still trying to perfect this sighting even till this day. And there you have it. Asanya in her renewed state. Brothers and sisters, this is not something that you should have others doing for you. Don't just go to those sites that I showed you to find out when. Get out there and observe it yourself. Let me tell you what I've been doing. I have my wine, my snacks, a meal maybe sometimes. I have my binoculars. I have my moon watch. I have a very expensive watch with the moon calendar. I have to make sure that it's synchronized to what I'm seeing in the sky so that it'll alert me as I get around to that point. I mean, I am equipped for this. And I had this before I even knew anything about the renewed moon. Isn't that incredible? The Father had already equipped me for this task. But you cannot follow anyone with this. We followed the Sunday Sabbath, didn't we? If you came from the church. We followed the Saturday Sabbath. No investigation whatsoever. We just followed. You can't do that this time. This comes through an observation, then a confirmation. So you have to actually go out and observe it. Sit down, have your children out there. Have your snacks. Have a little party, a little food, a little get together as you guys are looking up, waiting for the month to change. It's important if you want to be on Yahuwah's time. And this is what it's going to look like. I want you to mark the path of the sun. Watch it as it rises in the east and as it goes through the sky. Spend some time. Every couple of hours, go out there and see what its position is. The moon is going to travel in that same path at the beginning of your month. Therefore, you'll know exactly where to look for it in the sky when you're looking for the renewed moon. I hope this video has been informative. But again, I must tell you the same thing. Believe no one, but prove everyone. Shalom.